Hello and welcome to this FBTB TV session. We've gotten the chance to speak to one of our exciting speakers from this year's lineup. So without further ado, let me introduce Oobah Butler. Hi Oobah.
Hello, how's it going?
We're doing great. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah? I mean, I know
Yes.
as far as days can go, yours can be pretty crazy. So on a scale to like 1 to 5, how has your week been?
My week has been it's been all right. What have I done? I climbed I went hiking and went and climbed quite a scary ridge.
All
And
right.
that was and this is where people have died climbing the ridge, and I'm quite a clumsy man.
You are quite
Yeah, that
daring
was.
man as well, so it goes in line with your personality perhaps.
I'm not that daring in I don't like heights, and I am a bit of a scaredy cat, but I did it and I was happy I did it. So yeah, I would say it's been a relatively otherwise just filming some stuff and doing meetings,
Yeah.
which is exciting.
And where are you right now? Where in the world can we find you?
I'm in New York at the moment.
Cool. And Uwe, you joined our lineup at FBTB as the last speaker, and
Yes.
you actually created some buzz. And the thing is, you differ quite a bit from, as far
Mm.
as professional background goes, from our other speakers. Are you kind of used to that in this sort of conference spaces?
It's quite fun going into sort of different types of professional environments and being the weird guy. So. But I like to think there's some relevance there. I think that it's about. I think that people value in your space value like impact and like a disruption. So I can see it, but yeah, I think I'll be the odd one out, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe
Yeah. Yeah, because you
yeah.
often presented like as a professional con man or using trickery and using comic relief to get your point across, and like you present pretty mind-wobbling and scary facts, but your bio says journalist and filmmaker. So like,
Hmm.
how do you yourself want to be perceived?
I don't know. I kind of contend with it in different ways. I mean, sometimes I'm a TV presenter, sometimes I'm a prankster, sometimes I don't know. People seem to find a difficult box to put me in,
Mm.
but that's quite nice. I think. I guess the way that I would like to be perceived would be just as someone who makes interesting and impactful stuff, and I would hope that as I get older and as I hopefully learn more about the world, I'll have more different types of things to say about it. I just think using comedy and humor to have an impact is like an underrated as a vehicle of communication. Like it's disarming. Things are funny as well as tragic and serious. So
Mm.
there's room for straight reporting and investigating
Mm.
things like that, but there's also an argument to be had for using comedy to make a point.
Mm. And we talk about impact. Is it like impact for the sake of it or impact for a cause?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I just make films and do things. So, the thing that I'm most concerned with is like the film being good and the thing being entertaining and interesting. Beyond that, I mean, impact is kind of out of your control. You can kind of try to back yourself up and um, you can try and say, I try and pre-plan, like maybe people will be talking about Amazon drivers if I do this, this, and this with urine or whatever. Sometimes you do something, you create something, and no one cares. So the only thing you're in control of really is the thing that you make.
Uwe, you've made
Yeah.
a name for yourself going up against some pretty big corporations and challenging social platforms that sort of influences us in making decisions or our behaviors in everyday life. I'm super curious to hear, like, where did all of this start for you?
I mean, I guess just being curious about it. I mean, I think that, I don't know, kind of the view that a lot of sort of the decision making that we have today is sort of dictated by a kind of sort of like a slight shadow algorithm that sort of like dictates our taste and makes it lies to us and makes us lie to ourselves. And I don't know, like most the restaurants that a lot of people choose now when they go on a holiday is just what the first place that comes up on Google and like or on TripAdvisor or whatever, and it's just the restaurant who can afford the best search engine optimization. And also, do you want to go to the kind of place that everyone else goes to? I don't know. Maybe some people do. I don't know. It's sort of presented a lot of things, particularly in this age now, sort of presented as a sort of meritocracy. But I think that that's a bit of a lie, and it's interesting to unpick that and play with people's expectations in a way that makes me laugh.
Yeah. It's possible to look at it from different points of views, and we are a conference like mainly designers looking at the design part of stuff. Is that something you think of when you try to like take on these sort of platforms like TripAdvisor, design for a certain type of cars and premiering certain kind of usage?
Yeah, I mean, I always often what I do is I'll make a sort of type of product or whatever, and that needs to be that it's like a real starts out as a lie, and then it you know like the shared restaurant was top to bottom kind of made to look like a fancy restaurant, but obviously the food pictures and stuff are actually pictures of like my foot with an egg on it, and like the products we created for Amazon Driver's Urine, the energy drink, was me and my friend Stan, the designer, put that together. It's like based upon like all these hype beast kind of influencer product energy drinks that are coming out. We wanted to do a spin on that because it was funny to play people's expectations of, and it's obviously a bit phallic, and that's fun. But the more interesting thing to me is that it was completely passable, and that, we designed the product before we even made it. So it was like we created this idea of something, and then I was like, shit, we need to find someone to actually a way of making bottles of this peculiar shape. So or even like the fashion thing that I did, it's like, to me, it's always like there's always got to be a thing at the heart of it, and that like the Giorgio Peviani brand, I like that because it was this thing that was taken off. I found it on Brixton Market, and as soon as you present it in the right context, it's gone from something that people walk past all the time, a type of person maybe that I was thinking about in that film, and then all of a sudden you're wearing it at Paris Fashion Week, and everyone thinks it's it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's just interesting. So I mean, I do think about design and stuff, even though I do help people often help me with the execution of the thing. But I think quite visually in terms of like jokes and stuff. I always call them like my Charlie Chaplin jokes, like a joke that needs no explaining. You just watch it and it's you can see the image and it's funny without explanation.
From business to buttons.
Of course, I asked some colleagues, like, what would they want to ask you if they had the opportunity? And designer as they are, they wanted to know, like, where does your creative process start? Like, what gets you going?
I don't know, really. It's different type of things. Sometimes it's like comes from a place of anger, not really, or just sort of like frustration with something. Sometimes it comes from conversations I might have with somebody. And they'll tell me. So I love like finding like odd experts in things, and if someone is an expert in I don't even know marine biology, someone I met recently, and I was like, then all of a sudden having all these ideas about their field, like things that I could do in that space. Not as a marine biologist, I'm not being stupid. I mean, like stupid stuff that I could respond to that they just think is fun. So I don't know. It begins like I'm staring at a big board right now behind my laptop with an ideas list on it that just reads like the ramblings of a madman. But it's them like, yeah. So some of them will be like an image pops into my head and I find it funny and I want to make it happen. And then sometimes it'll be like I'll have a conversation with someone and they'll open me up to a piece of information I didn't know, and I'll be like, wow, that's crazy. Like there's like a response which is like of disbelief in to the information. It's like, oh well, clearly everyone else will probably have that same response. Yeah. So let's figure something out around this.
And I mean, the theme of the conference this year is movement and sparking change in a complex world. And we're both gonna learn about like cautionary tales of tech implementation in different situations, but also how each of us can make a difference. And that's sort of where you come in for us. You just go out there, as you say, and you get ideas and you make them happen. So where do you like find your strength or to actually go out and do these ideas?
Well, I have to make a living.
Basic stuff.
so that always keeps me busy, especially in New York. It's so expensive. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been really lucky, and today, this moment, it is interesting how a lot of our creative like decision making and what we do is dictated by the way that the world responds to us. So if I hadn't have gone viral with that fake restaurant thing, I have no idea what I'd be doing now. But I did have an impact, and I'm in a thing where weirdly, this is like what people expect me to do. So I'm quite
the expectations keep you going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and also needing to survive and live. But yeah, I mean, I think it can have an impact. I mean, I don't think many people, for example, knew about the fact that female drivers were getting UTIs as well as the male drivers having to urinate in bottles. In theory, we cost Amazon £1 million in fines for selling weapons to my nieces, which I believe they deny. But I mean, I was there, I saw it. These items should have been age verified, and then once we told them about them, they all disappeared from the platform. So, if it wasn't wrong, then. They can have an impact, and like the fake restaurant thing was used in Parliament in Singapore to help them craft new laws on fake news. Or just like the impact of the fake of Giorgio Peviani. He just said, it was all of a sudden it was crazy. Tens and tens of millions of people watched that film, and all of a sudden people wanted to come in and buy his 20 pound jeans.
That's like the really interesting part of what you've done with your documentary, is that they've really created these ripple effects of not just being a documentary and staying there in the documentary, but actually, like you mentioned, did you say in Singapore? Like, that documentary actually helped creating a law.
Yeah, I mean, but I never could have known that. You know what I mean? I would have never known or expected that. I just concentrated on the fact that I wanted to make the film good and impactful. And yeah, I mean, you just don't know. That's the joy of it, isn't it? When you kind of the loss of control and seeing what the hell's going to happen with this? I don't know. You just don't know. You don't know. Maybe I'll end up in a suitcase again.
The first time I saw you and met you was at a conference late last year, and you were literally glued to a phone like seconds before you went on stage, because your documentary, The Great Amazon Heist, had just been released. and you were talking to lawyers. Do you remember this? Could you go back to that
Yeah, of course.
situation?
Yeah, it was terrifying. It actually was the day it went out. So it wasn't, it was about 5 hours and 3 or 4 hours until it was broadcast in Britain on Channel 4. And yeah, I mean, yeah, we were on the phone to a lot of lawyers. Like, there was very much up until shortly before it might not have made it to air because of the amount of paperwork that the legal team were buried in. So, and I was also doing interviews because I knew that the more interviews that I did, the harder it would be for them to not show it. So that was terrifying. Yeah, that was horrible. I was so stressed out, and and I was like counting every minute until it expecting a phone call where they said we're going to take it down, it's not going to make it to air. And yeah, I mean, thank God that someone like Channel 4, which is a public service broadcaster, I don't think many other people would have made that film. I'm lucky that they took the risk, and I'm really grateful for them for doing it. But yeah, I remember that very much. So I was very stressed.
And I've watched your documentaries, and I mean they're really entertaining, of course, to say the least. But there's also like a tone of darkness and perhaps some social and corporate criticism. So what drives you to pursue these topics, like putting yourself at that level of risk?
You have to have a worldview, don't you? Or what's the point in any of it? I mean, I don't think I'd have made that documentary when I first started 5-6 years ago, because I just didn't think that when I was in my mid-20s or whatever. So I just wouldn't have made that film. My first film's a bit more irreverent, but they always had a perspective. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm quite careful about, I think I try to be quite careful about the targets of the documentaries and who it's impacting, and don't punch downwards. Don't make something that is at the expense of people who don't kind of deserve it. So I guess that as a principle sort of just leads you to looking at, in an era where it's like Mark Zuckerberg said recently, corporations, not countries. And it's like such a crazy thing to think about. We're just at a point where, wealth inequality is the worst it's been since the French Revolution, and there's plenty of things to talk about. And I'm lucky enough to have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, that's really great. And I mean, it's been a couple of months since it was released and was out in the world. And as far as I can tell, you're in New York, you're not behind bars. So how is life today?
You can't see what's that side of the camera.
That's true.
There's a guy with a gun. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I'm working on new stuff. I've got a feature documentary I'm working on. I've got some other pieces that I'm working on, segments. Got a film that should be out sort of in the summer. Yeah, it's great.
I mean, so Oobah, in May, you'll be at the From Business to Buttons conference in Stockholm to tell the great Amazon heist story. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that we'll hear something about the new stuff, but we'll see what happens. But what are you looking forward to?
I don't know. I get such a buzz telling these stories, like in person, just because you can, it's all about, you can hear people's immediate response to it. And I think it's a little bit of a roller coaster in terms of a documentary. And there's loads of stuff that I didn't get in the film, which I'm going to, talk about. So yeah, I guess it's just like I'm excited for the opportunity to get down and dirty with the people of Stockholm.
Yeah. Did I get that right? That you can actually talk about stuff that you couldn't talk about before? So are we hearing a bit of new stuff about the documentary?
Yeah, you could. There'll be some stuff that didn't make it because it was contentious. But yeah, I'm gonna delve into some details. Yeah.
Awesome. So I have to ask you, have you been to Stockholm before?
Yeah, I have. I've been lucky enough. I've been about 3 or 4 times. I've got some friends there, so it'll be fun to be in the city. I'm looking forward to it. Lovely places to eat, good people, nice nice wines.
Yeah, definitely. Have you heard that you'll be staying at the ABBA Museum or at the ABBA Hotel?
No,
Yeah,
no, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
yeah.
Are they going to be there? No, I don't know. I'm
Who
a bit,
knows?
a bit
Maybe
stupid.
Bjorn will walk
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
From business to buttons.
How does you prioritize which social injustice to address? Is it deliberate or is it a process sparked by a random idea?
I think it just depends, doesn't it? It's all just based upon how you respond to it. There's some stuff you just can't ignore. I mean, Amazon, for example, was just so obvious to me because it was just people like the fabric of the way that the cities look and places look to change so much from the pandemic, and just like the amount of Amazon fulfillment centers across Europe and in the US or whatever, and just like people work there. Boxes are everywhere. You see the drivers around. Like, I know it's quite new in Sweden, isn't it? Relatively, yeah.
True.
So it's like it was just everywhere I was looking. There were shops on the high street that were closing, and Amazon was replacing the business and expanding at such a rate that it was like unignorable for me. And then obviously once you start looking into it, there's just so much to talk about. So that was kind of unignorable, but like some stuff is like a quirk, and then you think it's something small, and then all of a sudden you're doing something that's spiraled into something much bigger. Or
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. It's just a response to information or an observation or that whatever, that kind of thing.
So, like a follow up to that, is there any specific issues that you dream of addressing in the future?
Yeah, there's some stuff I've been working on. I mean, I'm fascinated with just like generally the wealth gap and just how absurdly wealthy a very like a couple of thousand, 3 or 4 thousand people on the planet have become. I just can't fathom it. I don't think any of us can fathom just how much money these people have. So that's something that I guess I'm drawn to. People have tried to make me do a film about the art world quite a few times, but I always just found it was like so. There's so much has been said about it, and so unimaginatively. And then artists are so self-aware of it all anyway. So it's like
We've actually had
I
a
don't know.
bet, like in the team, that you're gonna do something about, these stream farms that's been like upping the numbers of music streams and stuff. Could that be in a
Yeah.
future subject?
Those are interesting. I mean, it comes into my definitely in my wheelhouse of just algorithms
Yeah.
and how to manipulate them. Yeah, I mean, the methodology always just grows and changes, doesn't it? And then you can guarantee that like something will something will change um, overnight, and all these businesses will just go out of business. I worked obviously in new media during when they turned off the taps, and all of a sudden you couldn't access your Facebook page, and it's just like we're all so reliant upon these like just platforms and algorithms for our work. And this the streaming farm thing is interesting.
Mm.
Yeah.
What has been your easiest but most effectful con?
I mean, I did one where I broke like ancient British laws in front of police people to see like whether they would arrest me, and that was written, as I said earlier, kind of just visual jokes that kind of made me tickled me, whatever they call it there. I don't know. Knock down ginger or whatever. I don't know. That I did that on 10 Downing Street, and that was fun. But I think that basically with that one, the reason I brought it up is it was just this thing that we shot in a day or two, and then it was just so many people watched it. It was crazy. It was just, I remember thinking that's just, I wished it was always that easy, you know. It was just like you write something for a day or two, you film it in a day or two, and then all of a sudden, whatever, over 100 million people just watch it or whatever. That was a shock. I didn't think
Yeah.
that would happen.
Is there anything you want to put out there? Any words of inspiration to our designer
Words of
audience?
inspiration.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of like ugly things as well as nice looking things. So I don't know. It is weird, isn't it? Something that freaks me out is the way that there's just poo on everything. There's you know, in the screens in restaurants that you order on our phones, there's always, if you analyze it, there's fecal matter on basically everything. So I would my plea to your people would be, can you solve that problem for us, please? I don't want. I actually was in the World Trade Center this morning, and I thought about it then. We were all touching the same button and this little touchpad, and I was like, I bet there's poo on that. So if you could somehow solve that for me, I would appreciate it.
We're going to put that out in the world then and see what solutions we can come up with.
Please, yeah. If in time for the conference anyone's got an idea on how to solve that problem, then I am all ears. No hands though.
From business to buttons.
Thank you so much. I'm not going to take any more time out of your day, and I really look forward to meeting you at the conference in May and see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Well, we met before.
Yeah. We met at Y Oslo at the conference, like right after. I know you had a lot of on your mind, and there was a girl there on the stairs that were bugging you, and I think we came in and saved your day.
That was good.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, it's gonna be great,
was-
and like take care and good luck with whatever you're working with, and we'll meet.
Yeah, same. I'm looking forward to it.
Me
Nice
too.
chatting.
Nice chatting. Bye.
Take care.
Don't miss your chance to see Oobah, Butler in action on stage, or even meet him in person at the conference in Stockholm in May. So head on to fbtb.se to read up on him and all the other speakers and workshops, and of course, get your tickets. I hope to see you all in Stockholm on May 24th.